right. Welcome, everyone, to the MMOs.com podcast. That's what it is.
Padcast.
And we got a treat for you here on episode 161. I'm joined by my regular guest, Omer Altay, or co-host, I should say. And we have a guest star appearing this week. Introduce yourself.
Oh, it's Gumble. It's me.
Who are you?
Mr. Grumbles.
For those who don't know.
For those who don't know, oh God, I'm the guy who just took a drink from this and went up his nose.
You're the guy who gave Revelation Online on MMOs.com a score of good. Now, I want to remind you of that.
I admit any review I wrote, just minus a point from any reviews, and that's the actual score. I think that's the way to do it.
I think everyone does a bit of an upwards bias. Like when you're trying to grade something, you always grade it a little bit higher than it deserves.
Everyone has their review system. Jim Sterling has his. I have mine. I always give a free point because I don't know. I'm generous.
It's because like when you see a movie, right? And at the end of the movie, like you look at your friend and say that was pretty good. Like you're afraid to say it was bad even if you didn't like it, because like if they liked it and you said it was bad, there's kind of like a disconnect there, you know. So you can play the safe way. It was all right or it was good.
Yeah.
You took that mentality to gaming, I guess, though.
That's like why I don't like 1 through 5 scores, because people only give things a 1 or a 5. There's no in between, right? So true. I just take the default, go right in between.
Right in between.
It's all good.
All right.
Cool.
My bias leans towards Ligma.
I don't want to get into that stupid
please
meme.
not that meme. I'm done with that meme.
Oh, it's a weekly raid, guys. Weekly raid, huh?
What's the weekly raid?
Weekly raid. Let's hear it. Let's go on a raid, boys.
Well, this week, I guess I should say next week, Battle for Azeroth is coming out, the new expansion for WoW. And there's been a little bit of controversy around one of the characters, Sylvannas Windrunner. Apparently, there was a lore trailer that people took issue with. I watched it. Have you guys seen it?
I watched it, yeah.
Okay.
I've seen it.
First of all, I thought it was a lazy trailer because it was like a slideshow. They couldn't even animate it. Like they couldn't like make it like a real cinematic.
It was like artsy. It was artsy.
Yeah.
Don't call it lazy. Don't call it lazy. It was artsy.
So so here's what happens in the trailer basically. So Sylvannas burns down this fancy tree, which the name is escaping me.
Teldrassil. I always say
Teldrassil.
Teldrassil. And I've played World of Warcraft. I've played Warcraft 3, and I always I don't know, that word just escapes me.
Right. So anyway, she ordered the burning of this tree, and people for some reason are outraged that the leader of the undead would want to burn a living tree. I mean,
she killed innocent people.
She did. First of all, Sylvannas did nothing wrong. All right, I'm gonna get that out there right now. Okay. Yes, she burnt down this tree. The original plan was for the Horde to capture this place, all right, and hold as a strategic point. And she decided, kind of a spur of the moment, or at least she didn't discuss with the rest of the Horde, that she was actually going to burn it down. And when she ordered it, her other generals were basically saying, "There's no honor in this. They're going to come for us if we do this." But she still orders a burning of the tree, which many people viewed as like comically evil, or like, because I think before this, at one point, the controversy comes from at one point Blizzard says that Azeroth was always a world of ambiguity and gray. There were shades of gray. It was morally gray.
That's not true.
So, and if you look at the comments on any of these videos about lore, everyone says like morally gray though. Am I right? That's like the meme, because Sylvannas was doing something that's quote unquote like very comically evil. However, I still maintain that I don't think it was evil or comically evil. I think she has a plan, and I'm gonna defend Sylvannas as being not an evil person or an evil. Yeah.
I'm gonna take your side on that, but for a slightly different reason. I thought that was actually the opposite of what people were saying. I don't think she was being comically evil. I think it's more interesting that Blizzard is showing us a leader acting on a very emotional impulse, right? Where traditionally, like you said, people are like, it's ambiguous. Ambiguous doesn't mean no one does anything right or wrong. Ambiguous means like there's leaders like this can make an impulse decision based on their emotion, right? So for me, the fact that the other leaders saw how bad of a choice it was, it was interesting, because it shows that maybe she acted irrationally, right, or emotionally, but the other Horde members recognized it was a mistake. So I think it's a lot deeper than we usually get in WoW.
I think you're both demonstrating something even superior to this discussion, or more important, which is that lore is so damn important, and that we can actually have these long, sometimes ferocious debates about what a character's motivations are, and whether or not it's appropriate. Are the writers doing the right thing? Is this what we've come to understand about this character or this world? And what it shows, at least for World of Warcraft, is that this universe is just as much a part of the charm of the game as the game itself.
That's a good point. And these characters like Sylvannas have been with us for over a decade. In the pregame we just showed pictures of our old basement and our land setup, and a lot of the games we played were Warcraft 3, like all those custom games, the main Dota and stuff. So we know these characters. They've been with us our entire adult life. So it is amazing that people are still so invested in these characters that they are having these discussions.
There's a lot of controversy. In fact, I had about a 2-hour argument. Listen, I had a 2-hour argument on Discord with a friend who plays a lot more World of Warcraft than I do. He's played more recently, and he was saying just how awful the writing is and how evil Sylvannas is now. I took the other side, and I learned more about the more recent WoW lore, arguing about this, because I think he made a few interesting points. And I'm sure if you guys aren't familiar with some of the intricacies of this discussion, what happened was after the burning of Teldrassil, the tree, the Alliance basically attacked Lordaeron, the Undercity, which is where the Horde controls the Undercity. And what happened?
It's the hardest to navigate in all of World of Warcraft.
Yes, very annoying place to navigate. And so basically, doing this action of burning this tree down led to them getting attacked. Sylvannas also ordered the use of the plague in combat, which is they're not supposed to do. It's kind of like chemical weapons, right? They've kind of agreed not to.
It's ammonia.
Yeah, they basically agreed not to use the plague, and they've actually, in that battle, they ended up using the plague on their own soldiers as well as collateral damage to kill the Alliance in that battle. And the resulting was that the Undercity was ended up completely destroyed and uninhabitable. So neither side can even control this once bastion of the Forsaken. So this whole place is uninhabitable now, and that's considered was considered by my friend to be comically evil. That she would just be willing to kill her own troops and creating all-out war when all our generals were against it. It was basically just her that was the part about the bad writing, the previous expansion, and basically the Horde and the Alliance came together to defeat a greater evil, right, through Legion, and they worked together. So this happens literally right after an amazing cooperation between the Horde and the Alliance. That she would just suddenly brush that all away to declare all-out war with the Alliance is why many have argued that it's just bad writing or she's comically evil. So what do you guys think about that? Is she evil?
No, I don't think so. And I think, in fact, people who are against this are the ones who have a comic view on reality. It's very common for people to turn on each other even after cooperation. And World War II comes to mind. Before the Allies even got to Berlin, American generals like Patton wanted to ally with Hitler, or what was left of his army, and go to Moscow. And MacArthur wanted to nuke China. He wanted to nuke Beijing as soon as after we nuked Japan. So and they were allies like a year ago. China and Russia were allies against in World War II. So this is very realistic. So I see no point of saying like, oh, it's comically evil. Humans use gas on each other, like you were saying, Gumball. So there's nothing odd about her using this toxic gas to kill the enemy and her own people.
Well, here's another example. Here's one indefensible position, for example. There was another cutscene in the game where basically Sylvannas allows Forsaken members to meet up with Alliance family members. So what happens is, once the Forsaken were raised, they had a chance to meet with their living counterparts, right, from the Alliance, like a neutral area, right? So some Forsaken people that are under Sylvannas' control met up with their family that's still alive, right? They had a chance to meet for like the first time, and they a lot of them got along really well. And some of the Forsaken wanted to basically leave Sylvannas and leave the Forsaken, leave the Horde to go with the Alliance to be with their family, right, on the side of the living. Where most of them didn't, they were okay to they agreed that it was a temporary thing and they were going to go back. So let's say 90% of people were going back to Sylvannas, and 10% were basically deserting and trying to join the Alliance, right? Because they want to be with their family, their living family. And then once that happened, Sylvannas ordered her elite guard to just kill all of them, including the ones that were coming back. Wow. She was mad that 10% was willing to betray her to just leave to join the Alliance, and she ordered even the ones that were sent out, even the ones that were coming back to the side of the Horde, right? She ordered them to be killed as well. Wow. And that was also taken pretty negatively by her other Horde generals, and rightfully so. That's I would argue that's the one thing she did that was very emotional and not necessarily comically evil. Maybe she just she acted very emotionally or irrationally. But however, in the grand scheme of the conflict, I don't think you could write her off as evil based on that alone.
Comically evil is such a good way to dismiss something. Do you know what actually is comically evil?
What is comically evil?
Cortex from the Crash Bandicoot series. There's a comically evil character. I didn't get the impression that Sylvannas is comically evil, but I think we should step up a level and just figure out, how important is lore itself for an MMORPG? Because I think we're all used to playing games where maybe lore is at least not the forefront. If I were to make a scale, right?
Yeah.
And I were to put World of Warcraft, say, over here, I would say that here's a game that has an extremely heavy lore. Its universe is brimming with lore. You can find it in every corner. It's been like that since the beginning, since Warcraft. And then you have a game maybe, over here, and I'm trying to think of what that might be. Maybe like, what's that Charlemagne game?
Charlemagne game.
The one that came before Minecraft. What's it called?
Worm Online?
Where there's no story at all, like Worm Online, in which players are basically have to write their story themselves, or the story is
sandbox
sort of
game,
player action. Sandbox game, right? And then everything else is in between.
Mm-hmm.
But I think a lot of games like an Aloha or a Moo Legend or something, the story it doesn't play as much of a role in the player's interaction with the ones that are over here. So is that maybe what we need to see as more great storytelling? And maybe what draws us in and we don't realize all the time is the fact that there's this story. And even if we don't care about it, we just like to know it's there because it gives the world a purpose.
Yeah, I think even if you don't really follow the story in World of Warcraft, you know who the leaders are. You know who Sylvannas is, right? You know who like Thrall is, some of the main characters of the Warcraft universe. Even if you skip all the dialogue, like you see, like even people that skip dialogue, they watch a lot of the cutscenes because honestly, Blizzard makes some pretty badass cutscenes, and you see these characters come to life in these cutscenes, and even if you skipped all the lore, you're interested in at least their characters and their actions. That it does kind of keep you more invested in the world. And I think the problem is with World of Warcraft, maybe not a problem, but I think a lot of players, maybe expect something else from World of Warcraft. I mean, I've played quite a bit of Final Fantasy XIV recently, and I read all the story in that game, and I think there are examples of comically evil and poorly written characters in Final Fantasy XIV that you don't see in World of Warcraft. And perhaps, I guess compared to Final Fantasy XIV, I feel like Sylvannas is a much better character than some of the villains we've seen. Even, arguably, she's not a villain either because, from the Horde's perspective, she's a freedom fighter. She wants to have a world for the Forsaken. She wants to conquer the world. Also, I think people kind of mistake conquering the world is not like an evil deed. Like when Alexander the Great was trying to conquer the known world, was he being evil?
No,
I don't think
he was drunk.
Whatever, but conquest in and of itself is not an evil deed. And I think Sylvannas does want conquest, but she also fears that the existence of humanity is a threat to the Forsaken. And it always has been, because if you remember, I think once Sylvannas gained autonomy and the Forsaken gained autonomy from Arthas, where she was no longer a thrall for Arthas and had her mind controlled. Like once they got free will, once the Forsaken had free will, all the humans were trying to kill them anyway because they were worried that they're going to lose that free will and basically become like slaves again to Arthas or something else and lose control. So their existence was always threatened by the Alliance. So their mere existence was considered a threat. And that has forged kind of Sylvannas to be an asshole to a degree. I mean, right now she craves power. She craves to conquer the world. And I don't think that's necessarily evil.
So she's set up to be a raid boss. Is that what you're getting at?
That's what they did. They did that in the previous expansion with Garrosh, who basically became comically evil. Like without a doubt, Garrosh in the previous expansion was basically he ended up being the raid boss, and he was pretty irredeemably evil. And I'm hoping they don't do that. Is Blizzard
just repeating the formula that worked? Right. This is going beyond the question a little bit, but they did it with Arthas, right? You have this guy who's supposed to be a hero. He becomes a villain. Then you just mentioned Garrosh, who I really haven't played the expansions in depth since Wrath, so I don't know that much. But now it looks like they're going to do the same thing with Sylvannas, right? Especially since you're telling me that in previously in the story, she's done some things that are questionable. People are getting mad, and
she's killing innocent people all the time.
Right, so they're turning this character who's somewhat familiar, somewhat popular, and they're going to turn her into a bad guy. And of course, when we see someone fall from grace, it's a tragedy. It becomes more emotional. But it seems, based on, I haven't read comments or anything. It seems like this time it may not be working as bad, as well. And it's going badly. Maybe the formula, maybe the jig is up.
Well, the problem is, I wouldn't say the jig is up. I think, look, a game like this, like I said, we've been playing for 10 years, right? Or more than that, 15 years. And before that, Warcraft 3, nothing they do, right, will satisfy everyone. Because everyone has their own, idea of where it should go. Has their own like little fanfic in their head, So whatever they do, whoever they make the next baddie, or whatever they do, right, with these characters, someone is going to be disappointed.
Sure.
So
they're gonna write very loud comments.
Yeah. So it's a really interesting place for them to be at. You can't make everyone happy. Not just that, but the people who are unhappy won't just be like, they won't just ignore it. Because in a new game, if you don't like the lore, you just ignore it. But in this, if they don't like the lore, they might be attached to it.
It means something.
Exactly. So it's a very interesting it's rough especially for the new writers, because you have so much pressure. You got to make a good quality writing.
Sure.
But whatever you put out there, people who have invested in the story for 10 years are going to attack you.
Well, I mean, first of all, I don't want to, I do want to defend Sylvannas, and this is not being comical. Just we don't have all the details yet either, but there is valid criticism towards Blizzard's writing. They've already retconned so much content, like, throughout the game. If you look at this Wikipedia, there's like wiki articles showing how many things they just literally retconned, just changed after the fact. So they've already like kind of written themselves in the corners and kind of had to go back and just change things to get out of it. So
it's been going on for
15 years, yeah.
Jesus Christ!
16
How do you
years,
keep something going that long?
Yeah,
it's a good question.
I think what really pissed a lot of people off is in that first Sylvannas Warbringer video, is that there's one scene where there's like dying night elf is basically saying like, you've made yourself an enemy of the living. How do you live with yourself?
Waging a war against life.
Yeah, you're waging a war against life itself. But no matter what you do, you cannot defeat hope. And Sylvannas just looks at her, and I actually really love this scene. And she goes, "Can't I?" And she tilts the night elf's head towards the tree and orders the burning of the tree right in front of her. Very dramatic.
Yeah, that is pretty neat.
It's a very dramatic scene, and like maybe like that was what pushed her to burn the tree, to basically like to show this one night elf to like I can kill hope. And again, people would kind of look at that and say, yes, that's obviously comically evil, but perhaps like there's another angle to look at it too. Perhaps if you burn the home of the night elves, you can maybe like without like if they had captured Teldrassil instead of destroying it, perhaps it would give motivation to all of the night elves scattered in the world to unite and basically reclaim their homeland, right? But if the homeland is destroyed, there's no point of banding together to retake something that's not there anymore. So there could be a tactical purpose to that as well. But I just thought, regardless, it's very perhaps overly dramatic, but I thought it was a really intense scene nonetheless.
All right, I got it. The tree is a temple, and the Forsaken are the Romans, okay? And they destroyed the old Israeli temple, okay?
Ooh.
Which is a tree. What do you think?
It's all a metaphor. Oh my god!
It's a metaphor
Symbolism.
for the Romans destroing the old Hebrew temple. There you go.
Damn it, Nero 616.
I have another theory as well, that bit of my own theory that. Because we do know after she burnt the tree down, all the other horde got really pissed off at her. Like, what the frick are you doing? Because they knew they would retaliate, right? Mm-hmm. And perhaps she did that knowing the Alliance would retaliate. And what happens is the Alliance attacked the Undercity. They attacked Lordaeron, right? And after Lordaeron was attacked, the rest of the horde had really no choice but to keep fighting that, right? So even though you disagreed with the burning of Teldrassil, once they attacked Lordaeron, it kind of unites you to fight back, because you don't want to lose Lordaeron. You don't want to lose the Undercity, and it becomes a battle. And they get more invested in the war at that point.
I have a question for Lord. I don't know if can Sylvannas res dead people to join as Forsaken?
Yes.
Oh, so maybe she's building an army for herself, because if these two fight, and now you have all these corpses, right? That's an army for her.
Yeah, but that's considered immoral as well. Raising like horde to be Forsaken is considered like immoral, and raising but her stated goal was that she wants to basically destroy Stormwind and raise everybody in it, be a part of her army.
Right,
that was her stated goal.
So she's just trying to. She's like in like Deep Space Nine or Babylon 5. She's just trying to get a war started, so she can take over.
Are you saying that she's what's Odo again? She's the
shapeshifter or whatever. What are they called? The masters.
They're masters. The Dominion. She's the Dominion.
There you go. For the few Star Trek fans who might be out there.
Yeah, but ultimately, I don't think she's comically evil. Again, I think people being a little bit too harsh. I don't think they've seen comically evil characters. I've seen a lot of bad characters in Final Fantasy XIV. Look, I love Final Fantasy XIV, but there are just some hilariously comically evil characters. I know, Gumball, you haven't played the game, but there's like in the most recent expansion, there's a guy named like Lord Xenos, right? He's like the viceroy of this area you're trying to liberate, right? You're a freedom fighter trying to liberate this area, and like there's one scene where he's like in his imperial court, right? And some messenger comes up to him, like his own soldier. He goes, "Lord Xenos, I have news that the rebels have captured like this territory." And Lord Xenos gets up, looks at the messenger, and just literally stabs him with a sword. "You give me bad news?" And he just kills him.
Never kill the messenger.
Like that is like that is comically evil. There was no strategic purpose to that at all. There was nothing gained. And he just does something incredibly stupid. And this happens time and time again. In fact, I think at one point in the Final Fantasy XIV main story quest, this Lord Xenos guy, he kind of defeats you on the battlefield, right? And instead of killing you, he goes, "Huh, I'm gonna walk away and let you come back and fight me stronger because I like fighting people." And he walked away.
He
literally could have ended the rebellion right there, but he's like, "You know what? I like fighting people, and like you're kind of strong, but like I beat you. I want you to come stronger and come fight me again." Like that's bad writing. That's awful writing. And I don't think Blizzard has ever done that just yet. So they're not nearly, they're on a different level, at least in my eyes.
Let me tell you my secret evil plan before I kill you.
Yeah, that's comical evil.
Time to escape and beat me.
You wouldn't think that could happen in like a story-driven game like Final Fantasy, but they literally just did exactly what you just said. There's this comically nonsensical stuff. So
yeah, since the beginning, like the original game with the villains at the end. I remember it being pretty easy.
Mm-hmm.
But I guess the point is that people care about lore, and who knows where WoW will go. I'm going to be playing the expansion, so I hope it's entertaining. As long as it's entertaining, that's all that matters. If it's going to be bad, let it be horrible, all right? And I'll be entertained by it being horrible. But I hope it's good. Yeah. I hope it's fun.
All three of us will be playing the expansion next week. It actually comes out a week from now. So after the podcast, I might stream a little bit of it too. Us playing. So if you guys are interested in that, you can watch. Set your calendars.
But yeah, I think Gumbo mentioned like Mu Legend and a lot of other MMORPGs. I feel like a lot of games try to have stories, but I feel like we're at a place where if you don't have like enough world building the way we see in Final Fantasy 14 or World of Warcraft, you're either gonna have like a story or you're not. Like there's really no middle ground. Like there's nobody out there that knows the lore for Mu Legend. Nobody's reading that shit. I'm telling you, it's impossible. Nobody's gonna read it.
And he manages the Wikipedia. That's just him.
Yeah, but unless you like do something fun with it, do you remember Twin Saga, that like Area Games title?
With the great writing.
With the great writing, it was an anime MMORPG by the X Legend people, and Area translated and localized it for America, and it was literally just meme writing. The guy just had a lot of fun making it like stupid funny. It was basically comedy writing, and it ended up being really like that was like, one of the only MMORPGs outside of WoW and Final Fantasy 14 where I actually read the text because it was actually
that's funny. You say that. I think that's absolutely true for me.
It's the only one, and I've played so many of these MMORPGs, and like it just I cannot play that. Like the story is nonsensical. Why? It's not no point of reading it.
Mm-hmm.
Speaking of Mu,
we'll be playing Horde, by the way.
We're playing Horde. That's Gumbo's choice because he actually has a preference. I don't, so I
already have a character.
Okay. You're not making a new one? Oh, you're gonna keep playing that one? Okay.
Yeah.
Right. Cool. Anyway, so that's next week. You can if you're not tired of this WoW talk already, stay tuned next week when we actually play WoW.
Yeah.
If we can get in, because launch day is always an issue with these games. So we'll see how it goes. Hopefully, we'll stream it for you guys. We'll see how it goes. But yeah, back to Mu Legend. You guys mentioned that it's actually on Steam now.
So I heard.
Well, this game got our Game of the Year, MMORPG of the Year, back in 2016, 17, right?
Do you remember how much money they paid us for that reward? I forgot.
They paid us?
I hope they didn't. No, I wish they paid us.
I wish they paid us, yeah.
I think we gave Black Desert the MMORPG of the Year for 2017, but they didn't pay us. Nobody pays us for those rewards. I wish they did. But they don't.
Yeah. Rip.
So how many people does Mu Legend have on Steam? Anyone want to venture a guess?
Oh yeah, guess. You two guess.
I'll guess.
All right.
3,000. Today's launch day, right? Today's launch day.
Yeah.
I'll say 3,000.
I'm gonna say 2,000.
Scroll down. Okay. Today's peak was 1,600. Currently 1,350.
Not bad. Not bad.
Not great.
That's not good for day one. That means by the end of the week it'll be at what, 200? Isn't it like 20% of the original player base sticks around a week later?
Yeah, a lot of players do quit pretty early on, but the good thing is this game isn't like it's not a new game. It's been out already, so like those numbers might stay because the game's been out for like a year or so off Steam as well already. But weirdly enough, if you play off Steam, you cannot play on Steam. They're pulling that bullshit where
a few games do that.
Yeah, I hate that. It's just I want to play on Steam, but I can't.
Yeah.
Can we please? Okay, we just got a link. I know we talked about Mu Legends on Steam. Revelation Online is all.
Okay, fine. So guess.
I would really like. I see it already.
I see it.
I see it.
I
look too.
We all look, boys.
Okay, so Revelation Online has 122 people online right now. That's pretty.
I just want to put it out there. I would have guessed probably the same thing. I would have said. So this is severely underestimated.
The problem is, if you look at their award section on Steam, they did not list the MMOs.com Game of the Year 2016 award. That was their problem, okay? Had they put that on their Steam page, their player base would be through the roof, That's what they were missing, So Black Desert Online has the MMOs.com Game of the Year 2017 award on their Steam page, all right? And that's why they have 10,000 plus players on Steam, all right?
That's the only reason.
People see the MMOs.com, award, like, damn, MMOs.com likes this game. It's all flock to it, We have that kind of pull with the kids these days,
So, okay, here's the question.
Go ahead.
Any interest in returning to either of these games now that they're on Steam?
No.
Revelation, no. Moo, maybe.
I might even pay not to return.
Okay, look, Revelation is honestly, I'm not going to say it's worse than Blessed because it's not. Okay, I think it's you really very few games can be worse than Blessed, but there was something very Chinese about it that I just couldn't shake off. I couldn't shake off the dumplings off me on that one. I don't know, the noodles. It was too much.
But I think for me, Revelation, there was something weird about it, but it was the weirdness that kept me playing. It was a very weird game that felt like it was designed by somebody who made those autoplay browser games, but wanted to try and make a real game. And
Yes,
get
that's it. Yeah, that's basically it.
For that weird experiment, I think it's interesting enough to have been worth playing. Just to realize, like, what can an MMORPG be? It could be this. It doesn't taste good, doesn't even look good, but it's here. I don't know. It's a good
game.
It's a fair, actually. It's a fair. Sorry.
It's a fair game, boys.
All right, here's another question, guys. So Bless, as you know, is unlike these other two. Bless is only available on Steam. Okay, so the number is more indicative of the entire population, right?
Okay.
When Bless launched, its all-time peak on Steam was about 34,000. I want you two to guess what the current number is. How many people?
I saw it already.
Oh no!
Sorry.
All right.
The thing is, I've been railing against Blessed for a while, and I actually included in my weekly news recap from earlier. In the last month alone, the game has lost 60% of its active player base.
70.
And in literally 1 month, we're talking, it lost 60%
So
of
what
its
is it
player base. It's tiny.
1,300 people online.
Yeah. And by next month, it'll be down to 500. That game's got to go free to play. They have no other chance. There was so
much hope around it. I heard multiple streamers say, "Oh, I'm looking forward to it. It's good." Tons of streamers. Everyone was looking forward to it. A lot of hope around it. And what a disappointment. Way to screw it up. Who was this again? This is NCSoft? Who is it?
No, WebZen, right?
WebZen.
Or NeoWiz. NeoWiz. My bad. Excuse me.
Yeah.
NeoWiz. Right?
We gotta jump through all the.
NeoWiz is Moo Legend. Yes.
Okay. Is it Moo? Who's Bless?
Bless is NeoWiz.
Okay. Yeah.
Moo Legend is WebZen.
Okay. There you go.
Yes.
Get those two
Thank
mixed up.
goodness we got that.
All right. I think Gumbo. Did you see the video of the guy, the streamer, crying over Bless?
I did. That was embarrassing.
Yeah.
I love that video.
But I have to. I give him. I do empathize, right? Because here was somebody who he wanted to relive those magic moments at 3:30 after school when he ran home and played a game and had so much fun with his friends, and this was going to recapture all of those memories, and it totally took a fart in his face. And I think that's the only way to put it, because think about this. You hype yourself up, right? Think about any event. I'm sure you guys can relate. You hype yourself up for an event, no matter what it is. It could be a concert, it could be
a movie,
a movie,
yeah.
And then you go see it, and it's utter shit. It's like that I don't know if you guys ever saw the South Park episode. All you see is shit on the screen, right? And you just go, all that tension that built up from that hype was just a waste. It just feels like you wasted energy. So I guess he was really invested. So I feel bad, you know.
Had the game been mediocre, it would have been as bad. But it was absolute shit. Was the problem?
Yeah.
It was unplayable, unadulterated, unfiltered, just doo doo.
So I think the bigger question here is, Steam has had a lot of trouble in the past. Steam, a lot of things got through Greenlight that were utter crap, and now there's a fee, right, to get on Steam. But Steam,
very low fee.
What's happened now? Steam is just becoming a dumping ground for games that fail elsewhere and try and rekindle an audience. And as far as I can tell, it's not working great overall. I mean, some games succeed. Black Desert is obviously doing really well. I think it deserves it. But then you have these, I don't know, basically the trash that gets picked up in Korea, and they just need somewhere to relaunch it, and they choose Steam. I mean,
it's a con. It's a huge con, and
Steam,
I blame Steam.
The thing I wanted to add, and maybe you'll agree with this, that Valve and Steam, they used to be, and we know this has been brought up before, and I think it's really becoming apparent now. They used to be a badge of approval, a hallmark of quality. It lost that years ago, but it continues to prove to its user base that there is no reason to trust that something on Steam is going to be good or worthwhile at all. It's just it's like a dump and you have to scatter through it looking for that one laptop with bitcoins on it. You got to like through all this trash, but it's a lot of trash, and that's disappointing. It is.
It is disappointing, and I think Valve is shooting themselves in the foot because the one thing they had, is curation. So once they lose that now, right? There's gonna be no reason to prefer. So for example, like when Microsoft did that whole like games on Windows, all this crap, right? There was no one wanted to even. Basically, the shit games went there, right? Because the good games were on Steam. Like there was some kind of, like you said, an aura of curation. But now it's the opposite. If you just click a random, if you make a list of all the Steam games and you throw a dart at a random one, you're gonna get some $1 piece of shit, right? That you get in the mail. Like, come on, you remember how many times
you get the cereal box, you know?
Yeah, remember in your email, you'd get like 10 keys for like these shit games every day. Remember that? Like,
I still have a lot of those on my Steam library, and I want to find a way.
All right, first of all, I completely disagree with both of you. I think the fact that Steam is an open platform, let everyone put their shit on there is fine. I think you guys are insulting the average user's ability to navigate Steam and find good games. That's the problem.
No, I am.
I'm insulting the user.
I'm insulting the user.
Okay, so here's where Aaron and I disagree. I want to defend. I'll defend the user. I just Steam when I started using it. It was like it wasn't no blue ribbon baseball trophy, right? It was the gold. It was you got first place. You deserve to be here. And I know, Aaron, you brought this up before, and maybe Omer, you agree. I think curation, being a good curator in a world that's so deluged, there's our word of the day, deluged with information, is a really important quality. And Steam used to represent that quality, and I think now more than ever we need that. It would be nice to have a service similar to Steam that just like they have a board or there's some approval process, so the game you're going to play has met some criteria. Like it's a real game. Even I have a game in my Steam library called Shower with Your Dad. Right? Yeah. It's a game that should just be a Flash game. I paid $1 for it. I don't actually regret it. But if there was a Steam board, that game should not be on Steam. So
what do we lose by having those games on Steam? What's the problem?
Here's what you lose. Okay, you don't, us as customers, don't lose anything, right?
Yes, exactly.
But listen, that's not Steam and Valve itself is a brand, right? And in a world where they allow everything, right? What happens is the platform itself, Steam, the name Valve, disappears. Because now it's not like it's not a game on Steam. It's just a game now, right? Now that leaves them open to competition because either Microsoft.
What competition is there today? Nothing.
Microsoft Store or Tencent's, I believe, launched their game platform here. And now, since everything is on Steam, everything can also be on Tencent. Everything can also be in Microsoft Store.
But they own the platform. They own the moat. Anybody can make a Facebook competitor, but they already have the network effect. They're already huge. You guys are. Wait, here's the reality. I'm sorry to break it to you, Altay. Steam is bigger than ever, minus the recent dip that they had.
It's not bigger than ever. Yeah.
Because PUBG died in China. That PUBG is probably going to launch in China. Their own platform. PUBG. If you adjust it for PUBG's losses, Steam is like bigger than ever, and they've been opening up their doors to the floodgates of games for the last 2 years. And Steam's numbers have exploded higher. Okay, so what you're talking about is not panned out any customer losses. All right, the reality is it's working.
Okay, here's a chart. I don't know if you've seen this yet. I will link it in chat as well for you guys. So this is average daily players on Steam. Yeah. Every month this year, it's been going down.
Purely because of PUBG lost its popularity. That's it.
No.
That's literally it. Well, Fortnite, I'm sure took some players off as well. But you realize Steam Direct launched in June of 2017, right? So why don't you look at that chart for a second, the June of 2017. Are we higher or are we lower since then? Spoilers, we are drastically higher, despite Fortnite and despite PUBG.
Good shit.
Get wrecked, kid. What do you got? What do you got for me?
Okay, I'll tell you. Look,
get locked in.
Look, like I said, right now, Steam has no cachet. It's just literally, like you said, it's a place for all games, right? So that means it's nothing.
If you look at that chart from June 2017 with the launch of Steam Direct and opening the floodgates to every game where they lost their cachet, do you notice a huge jump, an enormous spike up?
And we're going to lose it all this year.
We're not losing it all.
We lost half of it already.
We're well above it, though. We're well above it.
And it's going down.
Again, you're attributing the going down to something that a non-existent problem. What's going down because of PUBG is it lost over 1 million users. 1.5 million users we lost.
And it's going to lose more.
That's it.
Dota's down. PUBG is down.
The point is, none of that matters. Once all these new games are launching on Steam, they're bringing more players with them. Steam, in 3-4 years from now, Steam will be bigger than ever before.
I disagree. I think.
Well, that's where we're gonna make our. I guess that's where we'll find out who's right or wrong.
Bets, and I'm gonna choose the winner.
All right.
Okay.
Ready? Okay, you made your bets.
Yes.
All right, Gumby, who's right? Gumby, who's right? I want you to tell us right now. One of us
Then
is
we
right.
can move on. We can move on afterwards to the
Yeah.
We
next.
can move on afterwards. You got to decide who's right or wrong.
I actually I'm persuaded, and I'm going with Omer. So
The numbers back me
no.
up. The numbers
Yeah.
back me up. I'm a number. You
I-
go with your feelings, Altai. You go with the feelings.
I'm going with the trend. See, you're looking at the current. I'm looking at the future.
but I'm ending it. Listen,
gotta-
the winners, the dice have been rolled.
Okay, all
All
right.
right. The duck
If it-
says it's over, and now
Doc says it's over. Look, if it had not been for Steam Direct, all those hentai games would not be on Steam, and that would be a terrible future for us. All right, we have all the hentai games on Steam
thank
now.
God for hentai.
God bless hentai games. There are some
You heard it here
visual
first,
novels.
folks. MMOs.com, quote unquote. God bless hentai.
God bless
However
hentai
the hell you
games.
pronounce
If it wasn't for
Here-
Steam Direct,
when
all our
you're-
waifu hentai games would not be on here.
Here's a little advice, not related to this at all. It's totally unrelated.
Uh-huh.
When you're trying to hit a moving target, you don't shoot where it is. You shoot where it's gonna be. All right,
That's
what
not
I'm
true.
doing.
I play Counter-Strike. You shoot up, and the bullet will go down. So you're supposed to shoot where not what the target
Altai,
is.
have you heard of hit scan? Come on, CS:GO is hit scan. Okay, you shooting
Yeah,
exactly
dude.
where their heads are. All right,
Yeah.
there's no.
You gotta put those console commands too to make your aim better.
All right, I want to move on to a fun topic, and it's an issue. It's something I feel like you guys probably didn't know about. I heard about it before, but I read more about it recently. It's about
Okay.
old school RuneScape. All right,
Ooh.
and the question is, can democracy work in dictating what comes to MMORPGs?
No. But let's see.
And here's the thing: if you aren't familiar with old school RuneScape, they have a democratic system of adding new content to the game. In fact, the developers don't make any major changes without putting a poll to their players first. So what's remarkable is if you look at this, I'll share the link if you guys haven't seen it in Twitch chat over there. They literally put up every major question to their player base, and players have to vote on it. So if you scroll through their most recent poll, for example, click on to view the results. Question 1: should we add an in-game collection log? This would be an in-game interface that keeps track of how many of each unique item drop you've obtained. There's a collection log. A question should it be possible to re-obtain all pieces of the ghostly robes from any of the ghosts after completion of the Curse of the Empty Lord mini quest? So very little things go to the poll as well. The most recent one, for example, everything is passed. But if you look at the other ones, for example, like you can see the archive of all previous polls. There's a lot of stuff that were voted on here, which is pretty remarkable.
Wow, I'm looking at it right now.
Yeah, a lot of questions. And here's the beauty of this: because old school RuneScape is a very specific design mindset in mind, you cannot pass the majority vote. You need a 75% vote minimum on yes to get any changes made to old school
Wow.
RuneScape.
It's like
So
the
a
Senate.
lot of things, stall out at like 70%, 73%, and they don't get added to the game, despite most people wanting them. And they make big changes to PvP and stuff via this as well. So if you look at, for example, some of the PvP changes from the previous poll earlier this year, so we can link this one real quick. A lot of things end up at 70%, 74%, and none of this got added to the game. This is the only game that I know of that takes feedback so directly from their player base. Like literally every major change gets added through polls in the game, and not everyone can vote on these polls either. You have to have at least level 300 in the game to vote on these polls. The level 300 worth of skills in the game, which is not particularly difficult to get, but you can't manipulate it by having hundreds of counts. You basically have played the game for a long time to have any say in what happened. And old school RuneScape is doing really well. I think this is remarkable. It's like a direct democracy in MMORPGs.
It works because old school RuneScape, the player base knows what they want from it. They've played it already. It's been around for a long time. I could see it working in this instance. I think doesn't old EverQuest Classic do something similar? They hold polls for their expansions, or at least they hold polls for when the next expansion is going to release. I think.
I want it tomorrow.
It's
Everyone's
not like-
vote
it's not-
tomorrow for that.
It's not like this. It's not this detailed.
I was
Yeah.
gonna say, I hope in the long run, Blizzard does this exact model for Vanilla WoW. I think Vanilla WoW is gonna do really well for 1, 2, maybe 3 years. But after that point, I hope they add new content in the spirit of Vanilla WoW, so it forks in a different direction, where they add new content in the spirit of Vanilla WoW, rather than the easy mode LFG branch the current version's at. What do you think, Gumbel?
I would like that. I don't think it will happen. I think you can't implement that. Like you said, you can't do it right away. You have to wait a couple years to get the players going to stick around. And I think, again, that's also why something like this works, because it's the hardcore players, right? I don't think Blizzard will do it.
I mean,
But,
old school RuneScape
I'd be
regularly
all
gets
for it.
more users than new RuneScape. So this is like the main game. This is not like an offshoot. Old school RuneScape is massively popular.
Oh yeah, it is, and that's impressive. That just really goes to show that how powerful old school RuneScape is.
I mean, it's remarkable. I would love to see this kind of like system in other MMORPGs, because like there are sometimes the player, again, this is not always the case, but there are very often cases where players don't know what they want either. So, you don't want to listen to your players all the time. But it seems to work really well with RuneScape. I mean, practically every major change goes through this. They've done small changes without consulting their players, like small quality of life changes, some minor things, right? But even the little details have to get voted on. And you see these polling booths in-game. You don't just go on the website. You do it in-game. You log into the game, you see a polling booth,
That's
and
pretty cool.
you have to be level 300 to do it, at least in-game. So you invest in the game to have a say in what's going on.
That's
Do you think
cool.
other games would benefit from this?
I think it works for this kind of classic server-esque style. I don't think it would work for a production game. So for RuneScape, the main line RuneScape, they probably don't do this still, right?
No, I don't think so.
Okay, so yeah, I think when you're catering to a dedicated audience, because I realize that it's still bigger than the main game.
It's the main game. Old School Runescape is basically the main game.
But still, the name Old School. So I bet there's a lot of people who have been with the game for 15 plus years, right? And you don't want to lose them. So I think it makes sense. So that's why I said I hope Blizzard does this for vanilla server. I don't recommend they do it for their mainline servers.
Old School Runescape has to feel preserved. Yeah, that's true as well. I mean, they did have a pretty design, because it feels like a lot of the casual, once Old School Runescape was created, a lot of the hardcore players came here. The problem is, I think, when you have both casual and hardcore audiences in the same game. So a game like Final Fantasy 14 has both hardcore and casual players in the same server, in the same world. World of Warcraft also has the same thing, right? So it's a little harder to have that kind of system in place. But once you segregate your players between hardcore and casual in two separate worlds, you can have systems like this in place. But I do feel like a lot of games would avoid problems if they sampled their player base the way they do in this game. I think it worked really well for an MMORPG. I don't think it's the best way to do balance, because I don't think players know how balance works. I don't think you can judge balance in Overwatch or League of Legends or Dota via in-game polls. I don't think players are informed enough to make those decisions, right? But I think in MMORPG where there's no real big balance problems like that, you could get away with it. How content should be designed and whatnot. But I mean, I would love to see this. I would personally like to see this in more and more RPGs, and this is the only game I've known that does this.
So someone's linking in chat a design document on Google Docs for WoW Classic Design Survey. From what I can tell, I just saw this for the first time. I can't say this is official. It's the source seems to be a post on the forums.
Yeah, WoW,
but not by a mod or admin. So this is an informal thing, it seems like. And I'm glad that there are people taking the survey. I wonder how many people have participated. And like I said, I do hope Blizzard does do something like this.
Mm-hmm. It would make a lot of sense for vanilla WoW, classic WoW.
It would make sense after a given amount of time when the player base is whittled out.
You know, it'd be pretty interesting. Imagine an MMORPG where players vote on one person in the game as the king or the ruler, right? Or you like the dictator, and he sets how the game gets designed, right? He has absolute control over the direction of the game. And the developer just lists whatever he says that adds to the game.
No, that's too extreme.
He serves these he serves a 1 month leadership role, and he's got to be reelected if they like his decision or not, and he takes control of the game. That'd be kind of cool.
Didn't Caligula burn half of Rome to the ground?
Yes. So hopefully you don't get some asshole in charge, all right?
Well, as you guys know, CCP does something kind of like this. Players can literally vote for the members of the Council of Stellar Management, and I don't know how long their term is, maybe a year. They actually advise, and the company CCP, and CCP listens to them. So and then on the site you can see the transcript of their meetings. It's just an official thing. Look here. So the transcript of the minutes, which they did, all the discussions they have, attendees.
That's pretty cool too. That the fact that I guess CCP is one of the other games that kind of does something similar to this, where they directly listen to their player base. I guess the player base elects these guys to actually, and these guys go to Iceland, right? Wherever CCP is.
They got a campaign in the game. They're campaigning, vote for me. I'll represent your interests. Like I'm a PvPer. Have a say on the board. Make sure that the PvP are there. Don't keep electing these, economy guys. So there's a fun little campaign.
Let's get some hardcore people in here, boys.
Yeah, exactly. So I think CCP does something like this with Eve.
But Saffron, at least the point is, at least they hear them, right? And they don't always listen to them, but at least this is like at least some form of direct communication between them, you know. And it's an in-person communication as well. You know, everyone can say, "Oh, we listen to our players all the time." You know, we read the forums, but that's a very passive way of hearing your player base. At least flying them out to your headquarters and having these meetings and putting the meetings online publicly. At least there's more chance to interact and more chance to influence the game development. So CCP and Old School Runescape seem to be the only games kind of doing something like this. It's pretty neat.
Mm-hmm. Indeed.
Well, that works a little better in a game where everything is player driven, like a RuneScape or an Eve. Might be tough when you have lore in the mix.
That's a good
back
point.
To our initial question.
It doesn't work in a sandbox. It works in a sandbox. It doesn't work in a theme park.
All right. I want to change gears here to something that's very upsetting.
Wonderful.
I find this upsetting. All right, and it's another example of mobile gaming being way too big. But I like the story, Altay. If you want to share it on at least show it on stream.
I will.
It's about the mobile strategy game Final Fantasy 15: A New Empire.
Oh, shit.
It's a game I played at launch. I made fun of. I did a video on MMOs.com for it, and I worried that this would happen. This game is a mobile strategy game that plays exactly like Mobile Strike or Game of War, and it makes more money than every Square Enix MMO combined. So Sensor Tower released a report today that shows Final Fantasy 15: A New Empire earned a whopping $380 million since its release 13 months ago, which significantly out-earns every Square Enix MMO combined, which would be Final Fantasy 14, Final Fantasy 11, and Dragon Quest 10, which collectively earn about $280 million a year. So this one game, this one mobile game, which is a reskin version of Game of War, it's literally a reskin, makes more money than all these other real MMORPGs that took effort to make. I mean, New Empire didn't take any effort. It's literally a reskin version of an existing game.
Nice.
It's painful, guys. This is painful. Putting this story up really hurt me because I'm like, holy shit, we're not going to get any more real games anymore. We'll only get mobile games.
Decline of the MMORPG.
Decline of video gaming. Forget MMORPGs.
Decline of games.
Fire Emblem Heroes made more money than the next 10 best-selling Fire Emblem games combined. That's not an exaggeration. That's reality.
The thing. One thing to point out, though, a game like this, right? This game would not be successful without the Final Fantasy franchise behind it, without a Final Fantasy 15 that exists. So it's not like this game doesn't exist
in a vacuum.
Isolated. In the vacuum is the way to put it. So it needed those other games to make this much money.
No, the reskin did, but the original Game of War is a generic.
It also did very well. Yeah.
It's not like it didn't rely on an existing brand. It just a reskin did, and I actually want to pour even more cold water on this idea of mobile. There's a hope out there that eventually real games will come out of mobile, right? Right now, we're kind of in the early phases. It's a bunch of gimmicks, but eventually real games will come out. And so this week, a game called God Eater Online shut down. It was a MMORPG in Japan for mobile. And unlike the other ones, it was actually a real game. Like it was by that company you mentioned last week, Amiibo or whatever.
Yeah. As a BMO?
As a BMO. So I'll show you guys a trailer of it. It's basically a real MMORPG, as real as you can get on a mobile. But it wasn't it wasn't like a gimmick like this. It was, you move around, you fight stuff, etc. And guess what? It shut down in 13 months. So this shows me that people don't want in-depth gameplay on the phone.
No, but that's not fair either, because mobile games have so many titles that launch and shut down, right? Asobimo has got like 10 games. They're all very similar, right? So just because one Asobimo title shuts down is not necessarily fair to say that people don't want this, right? There are Asobimo titles that are doing really well that are more traditional PC like MMORPG experiences, though fairly they're not as big as Fire Emblem Heroes, Fate Grand Order, or these other autoplay games either. So it's
right.
Exactly. But it's a niche, a more traditional MMORPG on mobile is definitely a more niche market.
Right. So I think this shows that the market for these trash games is a lot bigger than the market for good games on mobile.
Yeah, of course. It has to be. So, Gumby, I want to ask you a question because I don't think you read the article I put on MMOs.com for this, but can you guess how much the average player spends on Final Fantasy in America on Final Fantasy 15: A New Empire? That's average per install, so it counts everyone that spent 0 as well. How much is the install of this game worth?
50?
No, it's $10. Average person that installs this game spends $10. And they count all the people that spend 0.
The whales might push it.
In Japan, however, the average person that installs Final Fantasy 15: New Empire spends $60. So the average person that downloads this free-to-play game spends as much money as a full budget, retail game, $60. That counts everyone that spends zero as well. So if you look at only the people that spend money, it'd be over 500 probably, over $700, $800 per person.
I would love to see what the person who spent the most money, how much they spent on the game. How much they push the average.
A lot. Remember, we had a story I think a year or two ago where the guy in California spent $2 million on Game of War. Remember that, Gumball? He embezzled money from his employer. He stole millions of dollars, and he bought all this fancy shit. But they also spent millions on Game of War. So it's pretty nuts.
I got a little mobile stats since we're on the topic. So okay, Clash of Clans. That's an old one. You guys remember that?
Yeah.
Many years old now. How much money do you think it makes per day?
Too much.
So far on average in 2018. Remember, when did this game come out? Clash of Clans.
Probably like 5 years ago, 6 years ago now.
$1 million.
It came out in 2012, so it's 6 years old. So
500 grand. 500 grand.
1.5 million a day. So combine your two.
We add them up. We got it there. Good teamwork, company.
Yeah, we did.
We worked together on that one.
That's a nice chunk of money. 1.5 mil a day.
1.5 million.
Bin Sami has got a family
considering
member
how
that
old it
spends
is.
$100 a week on one of those mobile strategy games. Yeah, Bin Sami, a lot of people do. It's nuts.
And one of the critiques or comments on mobile gaming was it's accelerated. So yes, these games can, in a flash make a lot of money, but then they burn out. But Clash of Clans is showing that you can have a home run that lasts 6 years. That's over half a decade, and it shows all signs of going for the full decade.
Yeah, and I looked at the original article on Sensor Tower about this Final Fantasy game as well. In the last quarter, it made $100 million. So it's actually like increasing in revenue as well. Because it only made $380 million the last year, and the last quarter it made $100 million. So it's doing remarkably well after this time. Fire Emblem Heroes, $400 million, guys, better than the next 10 games combined. Why would Nintendo make another Fire Emblem game on Switch or DS or anything else besides mobile, where it's making more than the next 10 best-selling games combined?
So what you're saying is late-stage capitalism. Gotcha.
Yeah, and there's that one Dragon Ball Z game as well, like the Dragon Ball Z mobile game. It makes more money than next 5 best-selling Dragon Ball Z console games combined. And it's the future is mobile, and the future is sad. It's a sad future, boys. It hurts me. It hurts me a lot putting these articles up because I know that with how much money these are making, companies want to make money. They're going to make these kinds of games.
Well, there's still at least a few companies out there trying new things or pushing the envelope in MMORPGs for the PC. I don't think Gumball's heard of this, so I want to bring the story up. Black Desert is making a remastered version.
Ooh.
They announced this. They announced this 2 years ago.
Yeah, they're finally getting around to it now.
It's getting around to it, and it's going to be out on August 23rd. A lot sooner than I thought.
I'm really curious to see what the hell it looks like, because the game already looked really good.
Beautiful,
I was going to say that. It's already, I think, the best looking MMORPG, and now they're going to...
Not the best, but it looks
You don't
really
think it's the best? What do you think is the best?
I don't know, but I think it looks really good.
I think it's the best.
I'm not saying it's the best. Let me think.
Okay, you think. Well, while you think, here's a screenshot of the before and after. But again, it doesn't really... You can't see much in the screenshot. I got to see it in the game.
I really liked Black Desert. I almost... It's one game I could actually imagine myself going back to. Not that I will, but that I can imagine.
You can imagine it. Yeah.
I can imagine it, and I can go, yeah, that might be nice. But not follow through. Maybe with the new graphics, I'm curious to see if my computer can run it. How many 1080s do you need to run this shit? With the
I'm sure you can run it with
graphics,
1080. I'm sure you can run it.
So graphics alone, they say a game isn't all graphics. Graphics will get me.
Yeah, it'll pique your interest,
So yeah, I'm curious.
I think
what's
it'll do
the point? Here's my question. What's the point? Why invest all this time and effort into upping the graphics? I mean, what is going through their heads to do this? Because how often do we hear of a game remastering their graphics and releasing, especially in the MMO sphere? The only
WoW does it once in a while.
Is World of Warcraft.
Yeah.
Which one?
Yeah, which is WoW does it once in a while.
WoW, even Online has done it, but these are long-running titles. Black Desert.
It's still pretty new. Yeah, you're right.
For only a couple of years, and it's already a really great-looking game. So I don't know what their plan is. Someone in the comments who said they're upgrading their engine and this is just a side effect, and that may be true. Is that this is just an easy thing for them to do, and that's why they're doing it, and they can use it as a marketing material. But
I'm excited to play it. I think the remastered version launches later this month. And we have a release date for only the Middle East and
North Africa
version of the game, the meta version of the game, and it'll probably launch around a similar time because the game does really well in the West. So it'll probably launch around the same time. So I'm curious. I already own the game. Hopefully they don't sell the remastered version as like a package you got to buy. Hopefully it's a free update for everyone.
That would be a bunch of bullshit if they
That
did.
would be a bunch of bullshit, but I wouldn't be surprised if they did that.
Really? I would. I think it'll be free.
Really? I mean, I think it'll be free too. I hope it'll be free, but it's possible that they might try charging for it.
It's definitely possible. But I think someone in chat, Shania, had it right, where this remaster is kind of like getting it ready for the console release. So, yeah.
Oh, it's going on console?
Yeah.
Yeah.
End of the year, I think.
Good for them.
So
Good for them. Get that console money.
Or I'm still waiting. What's the best looking MMORPG if not Black Desert?
I like Final Fantasy 14, but it's a different art style. They're hard to compare. It's different art style.
I hate the art style in Final Fantasy 14.
You can compare something within the same aesthetic. It's not what looks the most realistic or anything like that.
It looks quite a bit different, but I do love the visuals of Final Fantasy 14. But it's I'm trying to think what else is there. EVE Online looks really good too, but it's only because you're rendering like
it's like a skin. Like it's
you see like a wallpaper like graphics in that
I
game.
think EVE Online looks great.
Yeah, I think it looks great.
I don't care if it's just a skin. I used to love just looking at my ship floating in space.
Yeah. I love 14's art style personally. It's grown on me a lot, but they're hard to compare between 14 and BDO.
Well, let's not discount Warframe. Saffron brings it up.
Warframe looks gorgeous.
Good looking game. I'll give it that.
Warframe is gorgeous. I think what other MMORPG looks really good? Elder Scrolls Online looks decent. I don't think it looks as good as BDO though. we all know MapleStory 1's got the best graphics, all right?
I'll give something to MapleStory. It's got
Old School Runescape's got the best graphics.
Actually, hold on. Ragnarok Online, greatest graphics of all time.
There we go. What are we arguing for? Ragnarok Online, 100%. I revised the Ragnarok Online.
A close number 2 is X Steel.
Ooh, a classic NCSoft title, X Steel.
And number 3 is Rose Online for you kids. So,
do you know what Rose Online stands for?
Ring of the Seven.
No, you dare invoke Rose Online in my presence without knowing what the acronym stands for?
There was supposed to be 7 planets.
Rush on 7 episodes.
Oh, right? That's it.
I want you to know if we were on like Who Wants to Be a Millionaire and that was like your final question and you fucked it up, I'd be upset with you.
If there was multiple choice, I might have gotten it.
Really?
I would not guess Rush, but I knew it was 7 something.
Yeah. So
I'd get the 2 entries that had 7 in it. Dead giveaway.
I mean, what if they all had 7 in it?
I'm fucked.
Then you're
I gotta call a friend.
Gotta phone a friend.
Yeah.
Tibia graphics or go home. Club Penguin had the best graphics. All right. Yeah, I pick up all the honeys on Club Penguin. All right? That's my dating site.
No love for Neopets?
No, I'm kidding. Neopets is still around. Club Penguin is dead though. Rest in pepperoni. It's a true loss for humanity to lose Club Penguin.
There's a mobile version now.
It's not the same. It's not the same, boys. Just not the same. Habbo Hotel or Bust, another classic. Pools. Toontown had. I think Toontown had pretty bad graphics, but it was fun. Adventure Quest, Battle On, another classic.
You know they're making another. I know you guys mentioned RO. They're making another mobile RO game. Do you guys hear about this?
No.
It's a Chinese one, isn't it? They're all Chinese.
It's released in China Joy. It was announced in China Joy. Here it is. It looks cool, but you know it's gonna be shit because it's mobile. But it's got the music. It's got the nostalgia, baby.
It's got the nostalgia. It's got. I see Frontera. I see No, this is still Frontera here. No, this is not What town is this?
Here's a good question.
28 seconds.
If you wanted to go to Frontera, what was the warp command?
From Isloo, you just go left and up. You go one map to the west and the north.
If you wanna, you guys played private, right? So you gotta get to Frontera.
We didn't have warps. You had to use NPCs on the servers.
You never played NPC server?
I didn't play on servers where you could just warp at will.
Oh, I sure as hell did.
I wasn't a little bitch.
This game looks mega cute. Holy shit, I like the art and this mobile. It's gonna suck, but you know, whatever. I'll give it a try. It'll probably suck, but my nostalgia will let me try it. You know.
Oh man, I was watching this last night. I was like, oh, I wish this was a real game on PC, not a mobile piece of trash.
It's called Tree of Savior, and didn't work out.
How is Tree of Savior doing? Let's go check Steam.
It still has a decent player base. People still play it, so it's not dead. It's by no means dead.
I had such hope.
Yeah, I think
It
everyone
was the
did. But
chosen one.
It's pretty dead, man. 1,800 people. It's barely beating Bless.
1,800 is not dead.
It's like Bless levels.
But it's already over like 2 years old now, so no, I'm not giving that to you. It's not dead. And look on Steam. How many other MMORPGs have more players than Tree of Savior? Not that many. You have obviously like Final Fantasy 14. You got like I'm not gonna count Warframe. Warframe is more MMO than MMORPG. You have like Path of Exile, perhaps Black Desert Online. There's like maybe like, it's in the top 10 of MMORPG, like top 10, top 50, probably top 10 of MMORPGs.
Well, of Steam MMORPGs.
Yes, of Steam MMORPGs. So it's that many players is definitely not bad.
If you say so.
I'm more surprised that Black Squad still has like over 5,000. The average is like 6,000 plus players on Steam. Black Squad is killing it. It's a free-to-play shooter, tactical shooter. Game's nuts.
What are the MMO news you got for me this week?
Not more news, but I played a bit of Osu this last week.
What?
You guys know about you actually, it's not even pronounced Osu. Do you know how you pronounce the game?
I thought it was
No.
Osu.
It's not Osu. It's spelled OSU with an exclamation mark. It's pronounced Os. Did you guys know that?
No, I don't know what this is.
You don't know
it's
Osu?
it's a rhythm game. The rhythm game on
I know Osho.
Oh, no, not Osho. Os. I played some Os with some friends the other day, and holy shit, I suck at rhythm games. I don't know how people do it. I don't know how people do it. It makes no kind of sense for me.
A lot of, you know what? It's kind of like the raids in Final Fantasy 14. Like that, I always watch you do that one robot raid with the grid, and to me, it's just lights, you know.
Yeah.
But if you do it enough, your brain like train. You know what's funny? I bet you, by doing that raid or people playing Osu, they're retraining so many of like the synapses in their brain for such a useless task. Like you could learn to play the piano, the violin. Look, you could learn Chinese in the amount of time people have spent on games like Osu or Final Fantasy 14. Isn't that crazy?
Yeah. I want to see if we can show you a video. There's like some insane levels in that game that are like inhumanly difficult that people just like, I don't know how they do it. I don't know. Like if you look at like this video, for example, Altay, this was one of the levels I tried, and it just I lose in the first like 10 seconds. I am atrocious at these games, but like if you watch people on YouTube, I don't get it. I don't understand how they can do so well.
All right, let's see this. Osu Team Neko
Can't defeat Airman. This is for Mega Man 2.
I should put the music up too.
You can defeat Omer. You just need Metal Man.
There you go, Metal Man. Obviously this guy makes it look very easy. If you try and do this, you just I can't move the mouse fast enough. Like
Yeah, I
even
don't
more
have
to
this
go.
kind of mouse control.
Yeah, it's insane. But people are got here at these games.
I used to play Frets on Fire. You know what that is?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
I played a lot of that in a high school where we did nothing. Just played Frets on Fire every day for about a year. I didn't learn the real guitar. I learned Frets on Fire.
That reminds me. I don't think either of you have heard about this. A new music game got announced today.
A new music game. That's what we need.
It's a procedurally generated like platform/adventure game. Here, I'll play it right now. I'll link it in chat.
Is it MMO?
No,
No, not MMO.
I mean neither is Osu. I don't know.
Well, Osu has 10,000 plus players online at once. You play multiplayer. It's got persistent
that's true.
score. It's got persistent score. Os MMO confirmed.
Rhythm games, any games that involve music or anything that uses your own music where you have to follow the beat, underappreciated category of games.
I think they're really popular actually. That genre of games.
They just, I feel like they never get attention. I feel I just never hear about them.
No,
really.
Os
I
was
don't know
at
if the right people.
Games Done Quick, wasn't it? Summer Games Done Quick.
Was it?
I think they did something for Osu.
So maybe in my world, I gotta expose myself.
But I didn't know it was that
They all seem
popular.
pretty
There's over 10,000 people playing Os. You know, it's hella popular. Stepmania was. There you go. This game looks really pretty though. This
it
rhythm
does.
game.
It sounds
Like,
cool too.
It looks really bizarre. There's that one VR one that's doing really well too, like Beat Saber. It's another rhythm game.
That's one of the ones where it makes you feel like you can actually make a beat.
Yeah.
The game is just programmed to make every sound you play work with the background beat.
You know, obviously we all know the best rhythm game was Donkey Konga for the game.
Oh, no.
All right, Donkey Konga, boys. That's the one. All right.
I always hated console games that required their own peripherals, whether it was like a joystick or the wheels or the bongos, anything like that was just cringe.
Donkey Kong, you don't want $60 bongos that you can only use for one game? They had like 2 inputs, like left and right. Yeah, come on, dude, you need those. Come on.
Oh my god.
We all need that jazz. Parappa the Rappa. That's an oldie.
It's a classic.
Yeah.
Never played it.
PlayStation game. Classic PlayStation title. One of the big dogs.
All right, we got anything else, boys? Anything else for MMO discussion this week?
I don't think so. I've been disconnected, so I'm relying on you.
All right,
Don't rely on us. That's the rule.
We can bullshit a little bit in the post game. Got another.
Don't rely on us.
Sounds
You heard it here first. MMOs.com. Quote unquote. Don't rely on us.
Whoa! I am the most reliable source for MMO news, guys. All right. We all know OS is like an MMO, right?
Definitely.
Yeah, we can argue about that in the post game.
Yeah.
Definitely true.
That's a post game argument.
All right. Well, with that, take it easy
For YouTube.
Yep.
And
See
we'll
ya,
be on
YouTube.
we'll be on for a little bit longer on the post game.
All right.